For more than 30 years, Terranigma, this game right here, this is an unofficial like Etsy reproduction cartridge because this never came out in North America. This game has been lost essentially or trapped on Super Nintendo hardware, but we've got some news that might suggest it's coming back. So of course, yes, this was never released on North American consoles. It has never been ported to another console, never appeared on a digital storefront, and never been included with any Switch Online stuff. So unless you own an increasingly expensive original cartridge, there's still no official way to play it today. But that might be about to change. I saw a tweet from Clear River Games that has released a mysterious teaser ahead of an upcoming retro showcase. It never actually displays the name Terranigma, but between the words being spoken and the people named in the copyright notice and the publisher responsible for the announcement, this is about as convincing as you're gonna get without actually showing us anything, really. So I'm really excited to chat about this. I haven't had much opportunity to speak about Terranigma. This is one of my favorite games for the Super Nintendo, and I found it when I came over here in Australia, which is where I live, and I was browsing the Facebook Marketplace and I saw a Super Nintendo cartridge that was worth like over $1,000 complete in box. I'm like, wow, what is this game? And turns out I never heard of it because I grew up in North America, and here we are. We might actually have a chance to play this officially. So before we get into all this, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave your thoughts down below. Let me know your thoughts on what this could be, HD 2D or maybe just a straight port. Either way, let's chat. So if you don't know, Terranigma is a 1995 JRPG, action RPG kind of thing developed by Quintet and originally published by Enix for the Super Nintendo. You play as Erek, who's a young hero tasked with resurrecting a destroyed Earth. You bring back all the continents, the plants, the animals, and eventually, civilization itself. It's a really fast, real-time combat game with some beautiful pixel art, and I love the way that the Super Nintendo incorporates the Mode 7 graphics as well, so it gives it a great sense of scale. And it's a great story about creation and progress and humanity's relationship with the world. Now, it isn't technically lost media because original cartridges and the game itself still exists, but it has effectively been trapped on the Super Nintendo for over 30 years. Now, this was originally released in Japan, Europe, and Australia, which is what I was saying before, but never North America, and it has never received a port or any remaster or re-release. So a modern version would preserve an acclaimed game that has been made inaccessible through any official contemporary platform, and of course bring it to an enormous audience that has never been able to legally play it. I mean, technically what I'm holding here isn't legal, but that's besides the point. You didn't see that square. You saw nothing. So only just a few hours ago, Clear River Games posted a short video containing the message, "Wake up, all the living things in this world await your awakening." So if you know Terranigma, you know that it's a story about resurrection. That's the central idea behind the game. And like I just said before, you restore a world that's been almost completely erased. Continents emerge from beneath the ocean and everything returns and civilization starts to develop again. I mean, even the original Japanese title, Tenchi Sozo, essentially translates to the creation of heaven and earth. Now, the imagery and wording already make Terranigma the obvious answer, but the strongest evidence appears in the tiny writing at the bottom of the teaser. The copyright notice specifically names Square Enix, Quintet, and Kamui Fujiwara. Enix originally published Terranigma before eventually merging with Square, and Quintet developed the game while manga artist Kamui Fujiwara created its characters and the artwork. So seeing all three names officially credited beneath a teaser about the world awakening makes it really hard to interpret this being anything other than Terranigma. More importantly, the copyright notice suggests that this is an authorized project involving the original game and its rights holders, not a spiritual successor or something else that seems to resemble Terranigma. Clear River Games says this complete announcement will arrive on August 24th during a new presentation called Pixel Arcadia. Now, if you haven't heard of Pixel Arcadia, I mean, because I sure haven't until seeing this tweet, so I've quickly done some research for you just to save you some time. So here's what Pixel Arcadia is. This is going to be its first ever broadcast. It's meant to be a new digital showcase dedicated specifically to retro games, classic revivals, and video game preservation. And if you guys are aware of the industry at the time, with digital games kind of becoming more of a forefront to physical games, game preservation is more important now than ever. So this is going to be a great way to bring back some lost media, essentially. I mean, it's not lost, but you know what I'm saying. So Pixel Arcadia is really just the exact kind of showcase where a game like Terranigma would finally resurface, but it may also help set realistic expectations about the size of the project. I've already seen a lot of people guessing online whether this is going to be a remake or a remaster or something else, and obviously there's no evidence, and we're going to find out in just a couple of days, but it would be the most exciting possibility to see Terranigma's colorful world, action combat, and the themes of creation and resurrection translate beautifully into HD 2D. Kamui Fujiwara has expressed support for remaking the game. He said something in a 2021 interview saying he would like modern technology to represent Ark's hair in the way that it was originally intended. So, I mean, an artist being enthusiastic about a remake doesn't tell us anything about what is being announced now, but there is some sort of interest in that happening. Now, Clear River Games is much more closely associated with classic ports and remasters rather than publishing large-scale remakes. So because of that, I think a preserved or enhanced version of Terranigma is probably the most likely result. So that could mean the original game with some sharper presentation and maybe modern conveniences like save states or display options or an art gallery or soundtrack. So think of something like the Suikoden 1 and 2 HD remaster, or maybe even the Lunar Collection, which I haven't played yet, but I do have. So that's a great way to play a game that's obviously a loved title, a set of titles. So Terranigma may come back in that form rather than HD 2D, which is a bit of a shame, but I'll take anything at this point. Another possibility is a collection featuring Terranigma alongside Soul Blazer and Illusion of Gaia. These three quintet games are often grouped together and known as like the unofficial Gaia trilogy. So they don't form one continuous storyline, but they do explore a lot of the same ideas. And a collection would be a really incredible way to preserve all three of those games. But again, the smallest realistic announcement would probably be a direct port of Terranigma, potentially accompanied by a physical release. Even that would still be significant considering how long this game has remained unavailable. So I know what you're thinking. Why does this matter? Why should anybody care about a 30-year-old Super Nintendo JRPG that is almost unplayable by most people nowadays? Well, this game launched on the Super Famicom in Japan in 1995 before Nintendo released it across Europe and Australia in 1996. It never came to North America because Enix had already closed its American subsidiary by the time the English localization was completed, so it was really terrible timing and meant an entire region never received it. Unlike a lot of other missing JRPGs from that period, Terranigma was never rescued by a later port or remaster or digital re-release. The continued absence has also been connected to some really complicated ownership questions surrounding Quintet and the different creators credited on the original game. So the fact that Square Enix Quintet and Kamui Fujiwara are now all acknowledged on this teaser might be the sign that whatever prevented its return has finally been resolved, and that's a good thing. And unfortunately, Terranigma is almost kind of remembered for the fact that it's becoming rare, but the combat is fast and responsive, the world visibly transforms through your actions, and the story has a really great theme of creation and evolution and all that stuff, as I've mentioned before, and it represents the culmination of ideas that Quintet explored throughout the Super Nintendo, and a lot of people might consider it one of the best action RPGs of that generation. And a modern re-release would preserve an important part of JRPG history, make it officially available to North American players for the first time, and introduce it to an audience that may not even know it exists. So with all that being said, I would temper your expectations. I know you might be excited just as much as I am, so I would loosely call this a Terranigma related announcement rather than a port, re-release, HD 2D. I mean, I would love all of the above, especially an HD 2D game, but let's be realistic. We have the showcase coming in a couple of days, and I'm pretty excited to see what happens. But the evidence that this involves Terranigma is pretty strong, and thankfully we won't be waiting very long for answers. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Have you played Terranigma? Again, this is one of my favorite Super Nintendo games, and the only way for me to play this on my Super Nintendo physically is through this Etsy reproduction cartridge, but you know what? It does the trick, and we might be able to play it on something else very soon. So thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you again on another video very soon. Bye-bye.